Hi, I'm Barry Sahazian, and today we're going to take a look at some bass tapping chords. So let me start very simply. I'm not going to give you an exercise, I'm going to give you an example that you can use immediately. Why waste any time? So we're going to take a major triad, 1, 3, 5, and I'm going to play it right about here in the ninth position. I'm going to add a 9 to it because it makes it easier to come up with a pattern, like this, for instance. And the 9 is very consonant. It's not going to affect the sound if you play a major 7th or a dominant 7th. It's just a triad, you know? And it's very easy to turn it into a triplet. Why not? And then how about a minor triad? We'll try that too. Very simple. You know how a minor triad looks. I just have to lower the third by a half step, move my index finger down in a shape like this, and I'm still going to maintain that 9 in there. It doesn't hurt anything, but it makes it very easy to tap. You can hear that minor sound, sounds great. The 9 is actually a benefit. Let's try another very simple chord progression. We're going to go from C to D, which technically would be in the key of G, the 4 chord and the 5 chord. I'm showing that so you can have a little experience in moving the chords, because moving the chords is always a challenge because you have to refinger them, so to speak. On this last example, I played a progression sort of in the key of F, I would call it, and it goes a D minor with the D in the F root and the flat 3, then a C with the root and the third, and then a B flat with the root and the third, with the C and the E. And then I tapped with my right hand. I played the A, pulling off to the F, and then an E, pulling off to the D. I took the liberty to use the E on this to keep it in position. The E is actually the 9 of the D minor chord, but it sounds okay and it works fine with any chord you might use this on that has that D minor triad. And I'll play it slowly for you. It's a triplet. Going down to the C, going down to the B flat, back to the C, right now we're going to be working on an F7th chord. I'm going way up the neck, but don't be afraid. It has a shape you can identify and play anywhere on the neck, and I'm going to explain the shape right now. We're playing it with eighth notes. There's another way you can play that too, just using the same arpeggiated notes by barring down here on the 10th fret. You're barring the F and the C, which is the root and the 5th. And then we go hit the 3rd and the flat 7 up here. 14th fret of the G string, which is the A, the 3rd, and then on the 13th fret of the D string, which is our flat 7. And it sounds like this. Right now I'm going to be covering a progression, and the progression will be an F7 to a B flat 7. Very common progression you'll find in many different keys and as in many different parts of songs. I'm going to be in 10th position, and I'm going to be holding a root and 5th with my left hand, and that will be an F and a C. And then up here I'm going to be playing the tritone, which would be an E flat. And we go to the B flat 7, and we don't have to change positions. We're going to remain in the position, but we're going to bar these two notes, the F to the B flat, and we're going to pull off from the third, which would be the D, to the root, which would be the B flat, and the flat 7 to the 5. Now let's play our progression. We'll play the F7th to B flat 7th. You'll notice when I play the F7, I'm playing what is called the tritone, which gives this dominant sound. Then when I go to B flat, I just move that tritone down a half step, and I bar these two notes, the F and the B flat. It's important to know that if you want to play it in other keys, and the shape as well. I'd like to point out one more thing too about the notation I'm using. I wrote the notation many years ago, and I was perplexed on how I would notate two-handed tapping. So I decided, well, I could do it, but if I put it in bass clef, there'll be a lot of ledge lines and very confusing. So I decided what I'd do is I'd put them in treble clef, because we're way up high, and in treble clef it fits inside the clef, the notation. And I decided I would use two clefs and put them both in treble clef. I hope I'm not confusing you on this. If you are confused, just use the tablature. A lot of bass players like myself can read in treble clef, and it's really handy to have that ability so you can read all kinds of music. So I'll play it slow so you can get a better look. You can see how I slid down just a half step with that tritone from the F7th, and it slid down, and the tritone is now in B flat 7. There's a lot more that could be talked about on that too, because when I did that and moved down a half step, all it did was reverse the third and the flat 7. So now that we've moved from F7th to B flat 7th, let's continue with the cycles. This is called a cycle of fifths, and it's very much the center of all music theory, but let me show you what happens. So far we have a C7th to an F7th. Let's take a look at the shape. We have the root and fifth on the left hand, C and a G, and then on the right hand we have the third and the flat 7. Now to move the next fifth, I know you're used to moving over like this. In this type of a shape, moving in fifths, you're going down a half step with the right hand, and you're going down a whole step with the left hand. In this type of shape, going from the C to the F7th, you don't move, you simply invert the root. The root was down here before, where the C is. Now the root of F is here, because we moved the fifth. And the tritone went down a half step. So far, move a half step with the right hand and invert the root in the fifth with the left hand. Now we're going to move the whole shape. The next fifth, we have to move down with our left hand to B flat, which is right here. The root is here. That's the B flat. And the fifth is here. And we'll play in the flat 7. Pulling off to the fifth, and the third pulling off to the root. And once again, we bar this, which inverts the root. The root is now a D flat, and it's up here. So it's kind of inverted. And then we lower the tritone with your right hand. Let's do one more. We move down a whole step to A flat 7th. And we have the shape, and we're playing up here with the flat 7 on the top, pulling off to the root, and then we lower the tritone with your right hand. Let's do one more. We move down a whole step to A flat 7th, and we have the shape of the D flat right here, kind of inverted again, and we bar it, and we play the 3rd to the root, play the 3rd to the root, flat 7 to the 5th. We could continue on until we did the whole cycle, and we would come back to where we started. When you do cycles like this, you play every note that exists, chromatic scale, so to speak. You're moving in a cycle of fifths, and it goes up and down chromatically and by whole steps. That's music theory. I hope you liked this video. I ask that you might subscribe, hit the bell to be notified of more great ideas and ways to think about music. I hope to see you again, and I hope you enjoyed this.